Time now for the Daily Answer, sponsored by Salem Surround on The Answer Now TV.
Talking about the battle, if you will, that is going on within the Republican Party over the big, beautiful bill, and we'll talk more about why it's a necessary evil in a few minutes. And there's a lot of chaos in the Republican Party, but if you're looking for something to make you feel better about that, take a look at the Democrats. Holy goodness. We are watching a party implode right before our very, very eyes. They can't even take advantage of some of the chaos within the Republican side, where you've got House members battling with Senate members, and you've got, President Trump battling with both, and you got Elon Musk, who was on President Trump's side, now distancing himself from Trump's big, beautiful bill because of the spending issues and the deficits and so forth. I mean, Democrats ought to be making hay off of this, and instead they can't get out of their own way. How bad has it gotten? Well, this bad. Karine Jean-Pierre, the black and gay press secretary for Joe Biden. I had to point out that she's black and gay because they wanted to make sure that you knew she was black and gay from the very beginning. It was the entire point of her appointment as press secretary to replace Propaganda Patty. Jen Psaki. Anyway, she was historic. They told us she's black and she's gay, and she's the first black and gay press secretary. So anytime I referred to her during those 2 years of misery, watching her flip through that binder at the podium, made sure everybody knew she was the black and gay press secretary. Anyway, she literally was the mouthpiece, the spokesperson for the entire Biden administration for 2 years, as painful as that was. And now she's not even a Democrat anymore. Things have gotten so bizarre within the Democrat Party. KJP has said, I'm out. And of course, she said it while trying to plug a new book, but she has said, I'm out. I'm no longer even a Democrat. Let's take a listen. Cut 2341.
Hi, I'm Karine Jean-Pierre, and I am the author of a new book that's coming out this fall called Independent. It's coming out on October 21st, so please do grab it. And the reason I wrote this book, coming out of the White House, serving as White House press secretary was an honor and a privilege. But since I have left, the people that come up to me, strangers that come up to me just across the country as I'm traveling, and sometimes right in my neighborhood, at a grocery store, supermarket, airport, my daughter's school, the number one question they ask me is, Karine, how do we get out of this? How do we protect our democracy? How do we protect vulnerable communities among us? What do we do next? Because we don't have answers here. That's what they ask me. And this is my answer. And what I mean by that is, in an era of misinformation, disinformation, the regressiveness of social policy, what we're seeing currently right now, what I have decided to do, and I really have thought long and hard about this, is to follow my own compass. And that's what I've done. And that's what this book does. And here's the truth. And here's how I will lay it out to you. I think we need to stop thinking in boxes and think outside of our boxes and not be so partisan. And the way that I see moving forward in this space that we're in right now is, if you are willing to stand side by side with me, regardless of your how you identify politically, and as long as you respect the community that I belong to and vulnerable communities that I respect, I will be there with you. I will move forward with you. And that is, I think, so important. So this book, Independent, it's about looking outside of boxes, not just always being in a partisan stance. And how do we move forward together in a compassionate way, in a way that really, truly cares about people?
I think it's interesting that the size of that book that she was displaying there, if you're watching this in the Salem News Channel, is about 1/4 the thickness of the binder that she brought to the podium every single day when she would hold press briefings, because she had literally no idea what she was talking about. She had to flip to the page in her binder that told her what to say and when to say it. And by the way, she announced her book, Independent. She announced she is no longer a Democrat. She is an independent, which is the point of this whole conversation right now. She talked about how if you are willing to stand side by side with me and respect all of these different marginalized communities and people and so on and so forth, she needs to understand respect is something that is earned. It is never demanded. Respect has to be earned. It is not something that is just granted on a whim. And you lied to us for 2 solid years. You literally, I don't exactly remember when Jen Psaki left and Karine Jean-Pierre was appointed. But for about 2 years, maybe a little bit longer, you stood at that podium and told us that Joe Biden was coherent. You told us that he was not suffering from dementia. You told us that he was not suffering from any cognitive decline whatsoever. You didn't tell us about his cancer. Did you know about his cancer? You didn't tell us, obviously, things that we saw with our own very eyes. You gaslit us for 2 years and told us that everything was good. You told us that the border was secure. You repeated the talking points of Alejandro Mayorkas, who for some reason still has not yet been brought up on treason charges. He absolutely should be, because he engineered the invasion of the United States of America. He did that quite literally, engineered the invasion of 10 to 12 to 15, by some counts, President Trump has counted, to 20 million illegal aliens in 4 years. And you told us the border was secure, KJP. Why would anybody trust you now? But you did all of that, and you carried the water for an absolutely, completely incompetent, incoherent, cognitive declining mess of a man. You did all of that, and now you're not even a part of his party anymore. So one of two things is true. Either you never believed in any of the stuff that you were talking about and that your party, that you were the spokesperson for, you never believed any of it then at all, or you did believe it then, but you are so eager to make a buck because you can't find a job and you got a book to hawk, and you'll say anything in order to grease your own pockets now, or palms, if you will. Bottom line is, KJP is saying she is no longer a Democrat, literally 4 months after she departed as press secretary. That means this has been in the works for some time. And by the way, Waters had this on last night too, and it's very, very true. She can't find a job. She applied for The View. I think there's some information on this. Let me get cut 2355. Stephen A. Smith, who of course has become pretty much a go-to political commentator now, in addition to being a sports commentator. We have that background in common, by the way. But anyway, he points out, and it's very, very true, that KJP couldn't even get a job with The View. If she had any place she would feel welcomed and be able to stand shoulder to shoulder with, it would be with the shrews on The View, giving us their spew. And she couldn't even make that. Let's listen to 2355.
You were not the White House press secretary when you showed up on ABC's The View a couple of months ago. You were talking major stuff then. You were not the White House press secretary. You were an American citizen who was not working in the White House. What the hell you go on the show for then? Bloviating about Joe Biden and how he was alert and he was spry and he was a great commander-in-chief and he was sharp and all of this stuff. I don't have it clipped in front of me because I just saw the story. You're lucky I don't have time to pull it up. But I'm fully aware of the fact that you were not the White House press secretary when you were on The View spewing the same stuff you had spewed when you were the White House press secretary. So all bets are off. You didn't have to do that, but you chose to. Live with your decisions. Live with your decisions. You didn't have to do that. But that's what you chose to do. You chose to go front and center and still spew the same party line. So what the book's going to tell us? The book's going to tell us more about the Democrats. Is the book going to be an extension of Jake Tapper and Alex Thompson's book, Original Sin? Yet another Democrat coming out and telling us about stuff that a whole bunch of stuff on the right was telling us, but y'all swore we shouldn't listen to while y'all were engaging in cancel culture, while y'all were engaging in excoriating anybody that called the Democratic Party out for what the hell was going on. That's what we're supposed to do now? That's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to listen to you now. Okay. I'll do that. Karine Jean-Pierre, you are more than welcome to come on the Stephen A. Smith Show and explain your book and what it's going to say.
For full shows, live and on demand, it's Salem News Channel. Stay informed anytime, anywhere with the Salem News Channel and 9:30 a.m. TheAnswer.com. This has been The Daily Answer, sponsored by Salem Surround on The Answer Now TV.
It's Chris Stigall, and you're watching The Answer Now TV.